Hi guys, my name is Aman Sharma, and today I'll be talking on the topic reactivity in Vue.js. As Patro said that like there are a lot of new frameworks and stuff, and many things that mislead people and stuff like that. So Vue.js is some people, very few people also say that Vue.js is also something that was once especially who are hardcore React users. So they also think that Vue.js is something that makes stuff easy and it's also a hoax. I'll be honest, it's not a hoax. So in this talk, you will understand that as well because it has a very strong core underneath. So this talk is surrounded around the only the reactivity part in Vue.js. So uh, hi again, my name is Aman Sharma. I'm a front-end engineer at deepsource.io. Uh, we have a static code analysis tool. So starting with it. So what is reactivity in general? Uh, Reactivity in programming, whenever we hear about it, so what is it in general? It's like whenever the word comes to us, it's like there's some change somewhere, and the reflection of that change is appearing somewhere else. Basically, in programming, if we talk about reactivity, it's more of like there are data streams. If there's a change in some data model, that change will be reflected where it has to be used through that data stream or something. But in the case of JavaScript frameworks, reactivity is just one thing. It's just one particular definition, and that can be this. Well, not the Spider-Man, but changes in your application state are directly reflected in your DOM. So let me just show you an example of this in Vue. I hope this is visible to everyone.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So this is a basic, very basic code sample of Vue.js. This is the Vue code, and this is the template code. So what reactivity over here I am trying to explain is here whenever I enter something in this input box, so this will make a change. I've used a two-way binding over here using vModel directive. Two-way binding is also a very good example of reactivity. So what is happening is this vModel directive, whenever in this input box, whenever I change something in whenever I enter something into the input box, it will change the message property directly, and vice versa as well. If there's some external change in the message property, it will be reflected in the input box itself. But keeping that aside, I have also used the message property over here, which is not visible right now because the message is empty. So what if I enter something here? So you can see whenever I enter something, it instantly gets displayed over here. That means whenever I'm changing this, so the message property, the value of this message property gets changed, and automatically it gets displayed over here. So going back, this is what our code looked like, and what we had in that code is an application state and our DOM. So whatever change was in the application state was directly reflected in the DOM. So this is the most basic example of reactivity, and not in just Vue.js, there are other frameworks as well which have reactivity in it. So uh, uh, but I've given this example using Vue. So why don't I just show you the example in Vanilla.js, right? So that you can understand what is the difference when framework is used which has reactivity and when we are just implementing the same thing in JavaScript. So this is another example. So again, I have a HTML template over here. Over here I have a p tag with ID message, and then I have recreated the application state like this, the same before. I am initializing the inner HTML of this p tag with the data message, and then I have defined the method for changing the value of message. So here I have used the on input event of Vanilla.js. So this basically means that whenever I input anything in this box, it will be updated. It will run this function, and this function will update the message, right? So if a simple vanilla JavaScript would have had reactivity, so the whatever the whenever there's a change in message, it will be directly reflected over here, right? But this does not happen. So why is this not happening? Because vanilla JavaScript is not reactive by itself. There is something that Vue.js does underneath the hood. So what does Vue.js do? What does it have? We'll be understanding that now. So Vue.js has a reactivity system, and we'll be getting into that, like how Vue.js reactivity system works. So this is, if you have ever read about Vue.js reactivity, you must have come across this diagram, a very famous diagram. So I'll explain it to you in a very particular way. So from the very beginning, each cycle I'll explain it. So starting off with the render, first render. So whenever there's a first render, we see that whenever there's a first render, so in Vue.js, all the properties that are being used in the DOM. So let's just say that there's just one data, like message we had before. So whenever there's a first render, the data is touched basically. And what do I mean by touched? The data is basically accessed. So if you guys know about getters and setter functions, so if a property has a getter function and a setter function, so what it basically means is whenever we access that property, basically whenever we use that property somewhere, its getter function will be called, and whenever we try to change something whenever we try to change the value of that property, its setter function will be called. So in the first render, basically the getter function is being called because this data is being touched, right? So now over here, what the getter function is doing is it is simply calling the watcher. Now before going to the watcher, let me just tell you that the getter function here is calling the watcher with an intent to collect this data as a dependency. So what does dependency mean in this context? Dependency basically in this context means that whenever that if a variable, basically if a data property is considered as dependency, so whenever there will be a change in the value of that property later on, so we will run something after it. We will have to run a target function or something after the change has occurred. So basically this is in the very beginning, when the getter function is called, the data automatically gets collected as a dependency by the watcher. Now there's also another functionality that watcher has in this case, and that is to trigger the component render function. Now I'll get into that render function. Just let me repeat the whole cycle from the very beginning. From the first render, the data gets touched, basically accessed, so its getter function get called. The getter function calls the watcher, which collects that data as a dependency, and that watcher renders the component render function. It calls the component render function. Now the component render function is simply a function which returns the virtual DOM tree. Now we all know that Vue.js, if somebody doesn't know, Vue.js uses virtual DOM. So whatever the render function does is it takes the latest properties, it takes the latest data properties and returns a virtual DOM tree using that. So whatever we get is updated, totally updated. Now this is the very first cycle that runs. Now the second cycle, which basically is the core of the whole reactivity thing that we are talking about here, is that whenever we change something in data, so we all know that the setter function is to be called, right? So whenever we change something, the setter function is called and it runs a method named notify. So the setter function basically runs a method named notify, which eventually calls the watcher. And what watcher does is, watcher, since we had taken this data as a dependency, so we also had a target function to be run after it, and in this case let's just say it's the render function. So setter will notify the watcher and the watcher will again call the render function, and that will again return the virtual DOM tree. So this cycle is something that can define the whole reactivity thing in itself. So again I'll repeat it. Whenever I change something in data, the setter function is called, which eventually calls the watcher, which re-renders the whole thing, and the updated value is represented in what we see on the screen. So by now we know like what reactivity system looks like and in this in Vue.js. So now that we understand the building blocks of reactivity system, so we can recreate it in vanilla JavaScript. Basically, it's not that difficult. So let's get started with that. So first of all, we now know the building blocks of that diagram. So we just need to replicate that in vanilla JavaScript, right? So first of all, what we need is a data model basically. And what kind of data do we need? So we just need the same data that we used in the first example, which I showed you for showing reactivity in Vue.js. So we'll be recreating that same example with just reactivity system of our own. So we'll take this data and then we'll move on. Now we need to understand what target functions are first of all. It will come of use later on. So what target functions, the concept of target functions are. So the simplest way to explain what a target function is this. Whenever there's a change in the data property, for example, the data property message, whenever there's a change in message data property, this data property's target function will get called. This is something we want to implement. This is something that we desire to implement. So the simplest way, again I'll say, is that whenever there's a change in the message property, the target function for message property will get called. So for now we don't need to, for this step, we don't need to code anything. We just need to, code this line, target equals to null, because this will be, this is a global variable that we have to set. We'll use it later on while defining target functions for each and every data property. If there are more than like there's just one in this case. If there are more data properties, we'll use this. Now moving on. So okay, so what do we have till now? We have a data model. We have, and we know the concept that what we really want is, we want when there's some change in that data, we want something to run, right? So that is the part that is lacking in vanilla JavaScript, right? That automatically nothing gets run, and there has to run something to be displayed in the DOM. So let's just say we want the render function to be run. Let's just say that. So but what if that we had a different kind of data model? We before we just had the message property, but what if we have more than one data? So X and Y are the two data. So what we'll be needing is, we need two separate storages for the target functions of each data. Now it's not like that only the render function is basically render function. We are also taking counting it as a target function, because eventually it is also has to be run once the data changes, right? So it is not only one render target function. There can be more than one target function for any data property. So but we need some storage space for each and every data property, right? So that, for example, let me just explain it to you this way. For example, there's a change in X, so we need some storage so that we can just go and run all the target functions that were stored for X, right? So what can we do for that? So the simplest way is to define a dependency class. We basically, what we do is we define a class. We have an array named as subscribers. So this subscribers is the storage basically. So subscribers will store the target functions. Simply, it's an array of functions. And for X and Y, what will happen is each and every data property in the data model will have its own instance of the dependency class. So as you can see, here are two instances of the dependency class. One is for X and one is for Y, and each of those instances will store the target functions for contextually. So you can see that both of them have the render function, and there's an extra target function for X. So this can be done using the dependency class. Okay, so but there's still something that's missing in the dependency class. We have a storage space in the dependency class, but there are two more things that we need. Now we have something that is storing the data properties target functions, but later on what we will be needing is some method or something that will, first of all, one method we'll be needing which will store these, which will basically push the target functions into the subscribers array. And another function that we'll be needing is which will simply run all the functions, anonymous functions that were stored in the subscribers list. So how can we do that? So first of all, we will have a function named depend in this dependency class. This depend function will be simply responsible for pushing the target function into the subscribers array, and we'll have a notify function. If you remember, this notify function was also represented in the reactivity diagram. So the notify function is simply responsible to run all the functions, anonymous functions that were stored in the subscriber array for that one particular data property. So this is what it looks like in code. We had our constructor the same way we have now. Then we have our depend function. In this depend function, we are checking if there's the target, and target basically is the target function stored in the global variable. And then we'll check if this target was already stored in the subscriber array. If not, then we'll basically push it into the subscribers array. As simple as that. So what depend function is doing is saving the target function into subscribers array. And then the other function is notify function. Now we can remember this both two functions as record and replay. Depend is recording and notify is replaying. So this basically what it's doing is it's simply replaying all the target functions that are stored in the subscribers array. So we can remember them as record and replay as well. And also, if we think about it, the depend function, what it's basically doing is it's pushing a target function into the subscribers array. Now if we talk about just one instance, basically not the whole class, if we talk about one instance of for example for X, so if we talk about that, so what we can understand is that depend function is also setting that data property as a dependency, but you'll understand that better later on. So the next thing, so okay, let's recap again. So what we have till now is we have a data model, we have a data model, and then we have a dependency class, and we know what target functions are. So what we have till now is what the data is, what has to be run after the data changes, and we have some functions that will help us to store the target functions and also run them. So, but still we don't have the functionality that will automatically track the change in the data model. So that we are going to implement using get and set. So I explained it to you before what get and set methods are. So here's a better example. So object classes define property method also it basically helps us to define getters and setters for any property. So in this case, what we are doing is in the data object, we are defining getters and setters for the message property. So this method, get method, will print this message, and set method will print this message, and the parameter basically in the set method is the new value. So the get method will get called whenever message is just accessed. This message will be printed, and set method will be called when we change the value of message. So this is what basic getters and setters are. But now what we want, we have just shown it for this message data property. Now we want these getters and setters to be applied to each and every data property that is present in the application state. So this is the code for that. So what we are doing here is we are just iterating throughout the data object, and throughout the data object we are iterating, and we are basically for each and every key we are defining a getter and a setter. And you can see here that we are also defining an instance of dependency class for each and every data property, as we discussed before we will be doing. So now let's see what is happening in the getter and the setter. So a console log, well, and apart from that, when the getter is called, dep.depend gets called. So in the diagram before, I told you that when the getter is called, it sets that data property as a dependency. And I also told you that the depend function, although it just pushes the target function into the subscribers list, but it eventually, hello?
Yeah, Aman, I have a question here.
Yeah,
Can I
sure.
ask?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so if data is a hierarchical object, like
Mm-hmm.
nested object,
Mm-hmm.
so how are you putting the defining the dependency?
Yeah, so actually, if it can be a hierarchical object, है ना? But the thing is कि for the example, for only this example, I'm implementing this very basic level of this reactivity system. It can be very complex, and of course, Vue has implemented complex things. So in the real reactivity system, the hierarchical things are also handled. So in this case, we are just taking this object.keys. It's basically iterating over the first level. It's not going underneath. So just for the example, okay.
Okay.
Okay. So so the depend function, as we talked, is adding this instance as a dependency, adding this data property as a dependency, and also it's saving the target function into the subscribers array. And then the set function, what it's doing is it's basically calling the notify function. Okay, so let me take a step back and explain it to you in a very bird eye view way. So what is happening is each and every data property has its own getters and setters. When that data property is accessed, the depend function is called. It's added as a dependency. When that data property's value is changed, its notify function is called. So when it was added as a dependency, those target functions which were stored, all of them are run at once when the setter is called. Next, so yeah, till now what we have, now we have the functionality that can track the change as well. Before we just had the data model and the methods to make changes in the storage and running the target functions. Now we have the functionality for tracking the change as well. But there is still something that is missing. The last thing that is missing, and that is we have not yet provided any target function, and we have not yet initialized the whole process. So that will be done in watchers. So watcher in this case, although there are this is not exactly the same watchers which are in Vue.js. Watchers is a functionality of Vue.js as well. It's a very good functionality. It's not exactly the same, but it has the similar characteristics. So what watcher is doing is, in this case, what watcher is doing is it is responsible to encapsulate the target code, basically the target function's code. So how will we pass the target function into the subscribers list? How will we push it into the subscribers list of each and every data property? So we will do that through watchers. Watchers is responsible for encapsulating the target code, and it is also responsible for initializing the whole process, only in this case. So this is what the watcher looks like. Now, basically, a watcher is simply a function which takes input, which takes a parameter of a function. Basically, these will be the target functions. So what it does is, it's simply the global variable target. It simply updates the global variable target, and then it runs the target, and then it sets the global variable as null. Now this may seem like what the hell just happened, but what happened here is, when it set the variable target as the function, and after that when it ran the target, now whatever data property was in the target function, basically in this function, that has been whatever data property that has been accessed. And what happens when the data property is accessed? Its getter function is called. So this way, when the target is run, so whatever property was in the expressions of these function, those property will be added as the dependency immediately. And then when that process has started, and after that we just don't need anything, so we just set target equals to null again. So this is a watcher, and after this we just need to initialize the whole thing by calling the watcher function. And as we talked about this earlier, that in this example we just need a render function to be called after the changes. We don't need any extra target functions. So I have a render function over here, and this is a target function for all properties, and we just have only one property. So what it will do is, it simply updates the message p tag with message id with the latest data.message, and then we pass this in the watcher. Now the whole cycle is complete. The reactivity system's whole cycle is complete. Now we just need to see it in action. So again, I have this whole HTML template as I had before. I have the application state. I have the method for changing this message property. Now we have our target variable global. We have a dependency class. In the dependency class we have the subscribers array. We have the depend function and the notify function, as we saw. And here's dependency. When it's defined, we are iterating over each and every key in the data object, and we are adding them as dependencies. We are assigning getters and setters. Then it's the render function, then watcher, and then we are initializing everything. So now it should work, right? So let's see. So whatever I enter here should be displayed over here. So it's happening, and we have successfully replicated a basic version of the reactivity system that Vue has. Yeah, so one second. Yeah, so by far whatever I've explained, I know it's a little confusing in some places. So I have written a blog for this, and I have this basically the link is this. I'll circulate in the chat. So if you want, you can go through this, and yeah, that's basically it.